Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generation, episode 264. And now that episode 264 is done in the books, we got a lot to talk about. So with this episode right here, definitely an upgrade over last week. You can definitely tell that Studio Jiwoo definitely was the one that worked on this. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. I think that the storyboarding absolutely played a huge role in this episode being an upgrade over last week. There were a few shots in here where you can see the night and day difference in terms of the storyboarding quality, and you can also see where there's been some heavy corrections made in the episode. Huge upgrade over last week. Just gonna say that right now. Now for the episode itself, in terms of quality, this was a more enjoyable episode than the one that we got last week. For me, I enjoyed this one almost as much as I did with the Uzumaki family hot spring trip with Naruto and Hinata versus Boruto and Kawaki. You had a few moments in this episode like Himawari activating her Byakugan, and the revelation that Himawari can consciously cut on the Byakugan for a few short moments at a time, but she doesn't have full control over it just yet. That's huge signs of improvement for Himawari. I like seeing that little aspect right there, the little small intricacies that are added to the development of Himawari here. So now that you got my initial thoughts out of the way, we're gonna back up a little bit and go over the episode itself. So the episode starts off with all of them at the academy. Kawaki's looking bored like usual, and Himawari's at the center of the attention. She's like, yeah, you know, those 7 wonders at the academy, the 7 mysteries, we need to go investigate that stuff. And when Kai hears this, she tries to play it off like she's like, oh, I'm like a mature adult, and Kawaki's like, yeah, look at these kids over here. Kai just immediately jumps down and gets into it, and she's like, yeah, we need to go look at ourselves. And throughout the episode, one thing you'll be seeing is that Kai needs this as much as everybody else, because this is her first opportunity to actually be a child, and that's something that resonates with Kawaki. And so as the episode progresses with Kawaki and Kai working together, you can definitely tell that Kawaki needs this adventure as much as Kai does. He needs to feel like a normal child. So I like seeing these small touches added into the beginning of the episode and throughout it. And so what you end up seeing is that they have this map, and Kai is going over the map with Himawari, and they come up with a plan to stay behind at school in order to look at the different 7 mysteries. And so the first thing that we end up seeing is that they're going to be cleaning up at the school, which will give them an excuse to be there later into the night. And once nighttime actually befalls them, they show up outside of the academy, and when the groups begin to start heading upstairs, Kawaki notices that Kai is trying to step off to the side without being noticed. And that's when Kai reveals like, well, you know, Himawari is very excited about this, and we need to keep her sense of wonderment up. And so what you end up seeing is that Kai had actually worked alongside her butler, and they had arranged all these little small pranks in order to play on Himawari's classmates in order to make them think that the 7 mysteries of the academy are actually real. And this is where we start seeing the childish side of Kai as well as Kawaki show up, because Kawaki at first looks like he's not really enjoying what's happening. You know, he's like, this is such a drag. I can't believe I'm doing this. The butler has me dressing up in skeleton outfits, and we got pain and we got ghost material. I don't understand why I gotta do this crap. Kai's hiding behind a desk, and one by one you see Himawari's classmates begin to start getting scared off as Kawaki and Kai are pulling off the different pranks that you're seeing. And you have this really good moment where when Kawaki's in that anatomy suit and he begins to start making the noises and chasing after everybody, that's when you get this really good scene where you just see Kai begin to light up, and the voice acting with Kawaki's voice actor, when he's doing that, you notice the very subtle changes in his voice acting where the inflection is changing and you're seeing that he's slowly beginning to enjoy that. If you did not catch that when the episode was going on, I strongly implore you to go back, because this is actually good voice acting what you're seeing. Again, the further and further we're getting into these pranks, the more of a lighter tone that you're hearing in Kawaki's voice. It's very subtle, but it's enough there when you compare it to how he normally speaks. I love that. That was a nice addition right there. And so as they begin to start picking off more of Himawari's classmates with these pranks, we get to the scene where they have the statue of the third Hokage. And for people who might be wondering, why is there a statue of the third Hokage there? It's because the third Hokage was stated to be the professor of Konoha, because the third Hokage, on top of knowing all 5 changes in chakra nature, he also was somebody who knew every single hidden jutsu in the village. So that's not Kekkei Genkai like, say, Byakugan or the Uchiha clan or anything like that. That's jutsu like the Yamanaka clan's mind transfer jutsu, the Akimichi clan's partial expansion jutsu, the Nara clan's shadow paralysis jutsu. The third Hokage knew every jutsu in the village that was not a Kekkei Genkai, and he knew every fighting style. And essentially having him there, that's something that kind of just shows like wisdom is essentially key. And so essentially what you end up seeing is that the third Hokage statue is picked up by Kawaki and by Lady Kai's butler, and they're running around, and then Himawari is the only one who doesn't get scared. And Himawari cuts on her Byakugan and she sees the 2 chakra signatures there, and that's when she realizes, okay, this is Kawaki. I see what they're doing. Kawaki and Kai, they're the only 2 who aren't actually here. They're the ones that are pulling off these pranks, and she goes along with it. She could have caught them, but she didn't. And you see more of Kawaki's battle experience showing up, because he's the one that notices right away that Himawari has caught on to them. Himawari is chasing after them. And what I like in this moment right here is that it just shows that Himawari has a knack for being a ninja, but she also can be a team player, because she could have just outed everything there, but she didn't, because she understood her classmates needed this, and to a certain extent Kawaki and Kai did. So you see some of that emotional intelligence right there. Now the big revelation here in this episode is that that butler is actually a very skilled shinobi, and you see them setting this up for him to be probably one of the ones that's in on trying to do the kidnapping, because he's very skilled in water release. And I think that that is a telling sign, because Kawaki's primary chakra nature is fire release, and they're setting this guy up saying that he used to be a extremely talented shinobi back in the day. He's got the opposite chakra nature of Kawaki. So you see where they're kind of going with on this. And then you have other moments in the episode where when he begins to start moving, he's moving like a ninja. So you're seeing the gradual progression right here. I like the small choices that they're doing in order to start planting the seeds in your head that this guy's bad news. This guy is potentially one that is going to end up betraying Kai, and he's the one that's in the perfect position to do so. Now, if that ends up being wrong, this is a hell of a misdirect, but that's definitely what this feels like. Now, the next thing that happens after this, after the statue scene and after the revelation of the scene with him using water release and being a talented shinobi, we have Kawaki. He's using the prank that he saw at that hot spring with the illusion with the painting following behind people and like the eyes going every direction that you're in. Well, what you end up seeing is that Kawaki's making goofy faces and exaggerated faces and everything in order to scare Himawari's classmates. And the reason why he gives in like this is because when Kawaki hears about Kai's backstory, about how she's trying to reclaim some of her childhood because she didn't know what it's like to have a childhood and this is her only opportunity to have one, you see in real time how Kawaki is beginning to relate that to his own experiences, whether that be eating with Boruto or Naruto being a father to him. And Kawaki passes it off like, yeah, I've heard this story before. But essentially what we see is that Kawaki is taking this opportunity to fulfill her childhood as well as his own. And you have another telling red flag with this butler that essentially he's not a good guy, because when Kawaki says to him that, hey, you're a really good guy, he doesn't answer him. He just looks at Kawaki. Again, they're definitely setting this up for him to be the one that's doing the betrayal. Now, at this point, the episode begins to start winding down. They continue playing the pranks, and then you have this one moment where you have this floating blanket, and there's a total misdirect, because at first, because Kawaki and Kai were the ones behind everything, you're thinking, oh, okay, the butler's doing something else with wind style, and that's not the case. It's actually Shino's bugs, because the whole time they're chasing down that white blanket, Shino was inside the academy cleaning the entire time. And so all this stuff about the 7 mysteries and etc., this was all Shino the entire time. And I like that because it's a good characterization for Shino, because it shows how indirectly he's still able to stimulate his students even when he isn't doing so, because for him, he's just cleaning the school, but he doesn't realize that basically some kids got in the wrong place at the wrong time. However many years ago that this whole 7 mysteries at the academy began, and they saw his insects and everything potentially moving the blankets around and moving the statue and etc., moving the anatomy skeletons and everything, and the kids thought that it was real. So I like that little small nod towards Shino right there. It's a comedy moment, but at the same time, it's some actual payoff for his character. Now, the episode then ends off with Kawaki talking to Himawari at the academy, and Himawari basically reveals to Kawaki, like, I knew what you guys are doing. Because Kawaki, when he's walking alongside Kai and they're looking at Himawari and her classmates, Himawari and Kawaki, they make eye contact, and just the way that Himawari's drawn lets you know that she's letting him know, like, dude, I caught on to you. Kawaki brings it up and Himawari cops up to it. It's like, I had a feeling that's what's going on. You're right. I was using my Byakugan, but I couldn't use it the entire time. So again, we're seeing small moments of growth for Himawari. Again, this was a fun episode. I mean, 1 to 10, I would give this one a 7. By Boruto standards, this is an above average episode right here. I like this one, but you can definitely tell this wasn't Studio Pierrot. This is definitely Studio Jiwoo, but I would take Studio Jiwoo over some of the animation studios we've seen, because they've been a little bit more consistent. So overall, again, this was a fun episode, man. I personally needed this one, man. Like, I just had a death in the family yesterday. My grandma passed away, and this episode was a pleasant joy for me. I got some laughs watching this one. So my episode question to you guys is, what do you guys think it means for Himawari that she has the ability to briefly use the Byakugan? And how long do you think it will take her to be able to use it for a prolonged period of time? Or do you think we're going to be in a situation like Sarda, where Himawari is going to have some stamina issues when it comes to using the Byakugan, and she's going to have to use it conservatively? And my second question to you guys is, do you guys agree with me that Batora, the butler, is the one that's behind the kidnapping attempts on Kai? Let me know down in the comment section below. But while you think that over, consider watching these other videos you see on the screen right now.